Let me ask you something. What if the most complete striker in Blue Lock never actually reached his ceiling? Not because the talent wasn't there, not because the drive wasn't there. We're talking about a player who averaged 2.5 goals per match in the third selection. A player Ego himself confirmed as Blue Lock best, but talent without direction has a ceiling. And at PXG, nobody was directing Rin Itoshi. Julian Loki had one obsession: Charles. Everything at PXG, every training session, every tactical decision, every minute of mentorship existed to serve Charles' evolution. Rin was essentially background noise in his own club. Now imagine a different timeline. Rin doesn't go to PXG, he goes to Ubers, and the man waiting for him there changes everything. Mark Snuffy doesn't waste time when Rin arrives. He doesn't talk about systems or tactics or what Ubers expects from their players. He looks at Rin and says something that cuts straight through. You have everything you need to become the best striker in the world, except one thing: you can't control when you're at your best. I can fix that. Rin doesn't respond. Because Snuffy just said the one thing Rin has never been able to argue with. Flow state, that terrifying level where Rin becomes something inhuman on the pitch, arrives when conditions are right and disappears when they change. He can't call it. He can't force it. It just happened. Against Isagi, who keeps evolving. Against Sei, who is already one of the best in the world. Accidental flow state will never be enough. Snuffy is offering him the upgrade. His talent can't give itself. Rin doesn't trust him, but he listens. And from that moment, he watches Snuffy the same way Snuffy watches him, waiting to see if the promise is real. Game 1. Ubers versus FC Barca. The first test doesn't go the way Rin expects. Barca plays with creative freedom, no rigid structure, players inventing solutions in real time. Against most teams, that unpredictability is a nightmare to defend. But Snuffy has built something at Ubers that Barca hasn't faced before. The problem for Rin is that he's built for a different kind of football. At PXG, he received the ball in space and created his own chaos. Here, Ubers holds shape, defends deep, waits, and Rin is expected to wait with them. He hates it. In the first 20 minutes, he drifts out of position twice trying to create something himself. Both times, Ubers' defensive shape breaks down slightly. Snuffy says nothing from the touchline. He just watches. He lets Rin feel the consequences of not trusting the system. By the 30th minute, Rin starts to understand. Every time he forces something, the opening disappears. Every time he holds his position, something starts to build. Then it happens. Ubers win the ball in their own half. Players move in patterns Snuffy has drilled into them for weeks. Defenders pull out of position, trying to track runs they weren't prepared for. And suddenly, there's a gap. The exact kind of gap that Rin's spatial awareness is built to find. And he's already there before it fully opens. The shot is from 31 meters. It doesn't look like a goal until it's already in. Ubers win. Rin scores twice, but that's not what matters. What matters is what he learns. The system isn't limiting him, it's building the exact moment he needs. All he has to do is be there when it arrives. After the match, Snuffy walks past him and says one thing quietly: "You felt the difference in the second half. Remember that." Rin says nothing. Game 2, Ubers versus Manshine City. Manshine is completely different from Barca. No creativity, no freedom, just relentless physical pressure from the first whistle. Speed and aggression, a press that gives you no time to think and no space to breathe. And for the first 40 minutes, it works. Rin is frustrated. Every touch is under pressure. Every movement is tracked. Manshine have clearly studied him. They know where he wants the ball, and they've taken it away. He's performing, but he's not dangerous. Then something shifts. The intensity around him keeps building, and Rin stops fighting it. He lets it in. He uses it. And for about 8 minutes in the second half, something activates that nobody on the Manshine side is prepared for. His movement becomes different. 3 steps ahead. His positioning reaches a level where defenders look like they're standing still. His kick accuracy operates somewhere beyond what Manshine's goalkeeper can process. He scores once in that window. A finish so clean, it looks effortless. Then the pressure drops slightly as Manshine reorganizes. And just like that, it's gone. Rin stands in the middle of the pitch and feels it slip away, and for the first time, he understands exactly what Snuffy meant. He didn't choose that. The situation gave it to him. And the moment the situation changed, it took it back. After the match, Snuffy doesn't analyze the tactics. He doesn't talk about the result. He just looks at Rin. Game 3, Ubers versus PXG. Rin against the team he was supposed to be on, and on the other side of the pitch, Baru, wearing PXG colors now. The king operating with the freedom Loki gives everyone, because Loki simply doesn't care enough to restrict them. Baru scores in this match. A thundering mid-range strike that briefly silences the Ubers' defensive shape. A reminder that his talent needs no direction to be dangerous. But Rin isn't watching Baru. He's watching PXG. Just quiet, cold, and completely Rin triggers flow state before a halftime. It arrives on emotion, on pride, on the need to prove something, and it's devastating. 2 goals, both from positions that PXG's defensive structure had no answer for. His puppet control pulls defenders 3 steps out of where they need to be. His spatial awareness finds lanes that shouldn't exist. For 20 minutes, Rin and flow state against PXG looks like the gap between them is embarrassing. Then the emotion settles. The personal statement has been made, and flow state, and still not under his control, starts to fade. Snuffy sees it happening from the touchline. He makes one tactical adjustment that relieves the pressure and protects the lead. Then, before the final minutes, he walks close enough for Rin to hear him without making it obvious. You needed them to make you feel it. Against Sei and Isagi, they won't give you that. You'll have to find it yourself. Ubers Rin. Rin is the best player on the pitch by distance, but on the walk-off, Snuffy's words sit in him like a weight. Because he's right. Sei won't hand him emotional ammunition. Isagi won't either. The triggers that keep activating flow state won't exist in the matches that actually matter. He has to find something else. Game 4. Ubers versus Minshin. The first half is the most humbling 45 minutes of Rin's career in this timeline. Isagi reads him completely. That's the terrifying thing about metavision. It doesn't matter how evolved you are. Isagi maps patterns, and Rin's pattern is clear to him within 20 minutes. Every time Rin approaches flow state, something emotional is triggering it. Isagi neutralizes the triggers methodically. Rin can't score, can't even get clean looks. Kaiser scores once for Minshin, and suddenly Ubers are chasing. The crowd expects Snuffy to panic, to change the system, to give Rin different instructions. He doesn't. He waits for halftime, and when the team comes in, he lets everyone else talk first. Then he sits next to Rin, not in front of him, next to him, and says it quietly enough that it almost sounds casual. Every time you found flow state, something gave it to you. Manshine's pressure, PXG's insult, you've been waiting for permission, stop waiting, choose it. Rin says nothing for a long moment, then he walks back out. The second half is something the Neo Egoist League has never seen. Rin in controlled flow state, not triggered by emotion, not given by circumstance, decided. A switch he flipped himself for the first time in his career. Isagi's map is useless. He built it around a Rin who reacts. This Rin doesn't react. He operates from a completely different state of consciousness that Isagi has no data on because it has never existed before. The equalizer comes from a position nobody expected Rin to be in. A long-range strike that moves like it was calculated by something beyond instinct. Kaiser scores again late. 2-2. Minshin hold on. The match ends in a draw. But nobody in that stadium, not Kaiser, not Isagi, not Snuffy, treats it like one. Because what happened in that second half changed something permanent. Isagi looks across the pitch at the final whistle, and for the first time, he doesn't see a rival he's mapped. He sees something he doesn't have an answer for yet. So what does this timeline actually tell us? Rin Itoshi at PXG was elite, undeniable, dangerous on any given day. But Rin Itoshi at Ubers under Snuffy becomes something else entirely. A striker who doesn't need chaos to be at his best, who doesn't need a rival to trigger his ceiling, who can choose in any moment against any opponent to become the most dangerous player on the pitch. That's not just a better Rin, that's the version of Rin that Ego Jinpachi was searching for when he built Blue Lock. The one who doesn't just score goals, the one who decides to. And the scariest part about this whole timeline, Snuffy promised Rin he'd make him the best striker in the world. Drop it in the comments. Does Ubers Rin become the greatest striker in Blue Lock? Or does the original timeline still produce the better version of him?